Welcome to the Super Fantastic Leadership Webishow right here on Daphne Tube. We continue with Dr. Jerry Wagner, and this week we talk about how our personality type may affect our work negatively, and also how knowing more about ourselves can lessen the impact when needed. He's also going to talk to us about what type of leader we just might be. Let's hear what Dr. Wagner has to say about work and leading. But let's talk about engagement a little bit, because I think you hit on something there that was really important. That if you are, for example, a little bit more introverted, which the Enneagram doesn't necessarily measure just that, but if you are a little bit more of an introverted type, and you're put in a situation where you're consistently being asked to interact with people all day, what do you I would imagine that people's engagement level with their work would start over time, would start to decline. In other words. They might be the right person to be in the organization, but I think Jim Collins said, they're on the right person on the bus, but they're in the wrong seat. Right? And so, what as an example, but kind of speak to that a little bit about what that looks like from an engagement perspective. Do people start to withdraw then, or disengage from their work if they're not aligned with their type doesn't align with what they're being asked to do?
They might, or just burn out. Wear out quicker. I've never thought about it in terms of engagement. I know that there's the Women's Center, it's the Stone Center up in Wellesley, talks about connecting. So connecting and disconnecting. So you might, I suppose it's another word for the same thing, but you might be more inclined to disconnect if the work is wearing you out, or if it's uncomfortable, if it's painful. So you might pull back a little bit because it's too hot, too cold, too this or that. Whereas if it were something that you were comfortable with and liked, then I think you would stay engaged longer. Now, just to use my own miserable life as an example, though, as a 5, I disconnect quickly. It's like a circuit breaker comes on. Okay, this is enough. We've been at dinner now for an hour. That's enough. Let's go home. This interview was long enough. Let's stop now. So I disconnect, but it doesn't mean I have to. In my former, glory days, I would have stayed disconnected and stayed in my cave. Now I can say, "You've disconnected. Come back and connect." And when I do that, then I'm usually the last person to leave the party, right? So it's. Even though you might disengage, it doesn't mean that you have to just drift off into oblivion. You can catch yourself and say, all right, how can I re-engage? How can I somehow stay connected with what I'm doing or people that I'm with?
Wow. That's really the art of self-awareness transformation.
And the Enneagram, I think that's one of its gifts. It helps you become more self-aware, as well as other aware, but it's probably, I think, originally intended for self-awareness. So it's a psychological tool, a spiritual tool. It's used as a business tool. But really, I think I like that awareness aspect to it that you bring up.
Yeah, I think it's a critical component for people leading their life, obviously, which is first and foremost who you're leading is yourself, but also leading in organizations is for people to develop their own self-awareness and know what their blind spots are. So that I think the Enneagram has been it's been the most powerful tool I've seen to really allow people to expand in that way.
Yeah, I'm smiling because as it would help you understand what kind of leader you are. Are you a leader that's going to hide out? Are you going to be behind about 3 doors that people can't get to you? Or are you a leader that's going to be out there? And then if that's the case, you might burn out quicker because you're making yourself too available. Are you a bossy leader? So it's going to help you understand how do I exercise my leadership skills? Is it top down, bottom up? There are 9 different leadership styles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can be a leader regardless of your type. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't be a leader. It's just lead.
Yes,
just
you're going to be
allows
in
you to see.
a little different way. That's
Yes,
right.
absolutely, in the different
And they're
styles.
all effective, but they are different.
Yeah, they're all different, exactly. And once you know that, then you can appreciate yourself and that people are going to be different than you as well.
Yes.
Knowing our blind spots or the ways that we may connect and disconnect can really create the freedom for us to do things differently when needed. And that can only make us more effective in our leadership and in our lives. If you'd like to know more about Dr. Wagner, see the links below. Tune in next week for our final interview, and until then, keep leading a super fantastic leadership life. Hey, if you like what you just watched, you can go ahead and subscribe below, because then it's not so much effort, right? You're not going to be Google searching me or looking for me on YouTube. The content's just going to come right into your channel. It's going to say, hey, there's a new video from Daphne Scott. Actually, it'll say DS Leadership Live, but nevertheless, it's going to tell you that there's a new video available. And maybe you also like to read. If that's the case, give us a follow on Facebook at DS Leadership Life for more amazing content. Nevertheless, you can stay tuned here right on my YouTube channel for weekly videos and more of my amazing sense of humor. See you soon.